Abusive households, no support, and a single mom. Continued. I had a serious conversation with my boyfriend at the time discussing our options if we should abort or keep the baby. I was 50-50 on the decision, but was leaning more towards aborting because I saw the quality of life I would be bringing my child into, and I didn't want that for us. He said it was whatever I wanted to do, but I didn't want to hear that. I wanted his true opinions just as mine. So he gave me his honest answer and told me yes, there were pros, but the cons far outweighed the good. That was my answer right there. But he told me I should take some time to really decide on it, so I did. Smart old me thought it would be ideal to get insight from the only womanly figure I had in my life. So I went to my mother. She said she had a gut feeling she knew, and she told me I should keep the baby. But I told her the half-truth. At the time, she knew nothing of the bad that was happening in my relationship. I only told her my boyfriend was a bad drinker, and I didn't like how he parented his kid, so I didn't think this lifestyle would be ideal to bring my child into. My mother asked if I had already had this convo with my boyfriend. I recalled the conversation to her, and she was putting in my head, how is it fair that him and BM got to keep their first child, and you have to abort yours? IT is a guilt that will stay with you forever, and you don't want to go through that. And when you see their child, it will be a reminder of resentment of how you let yours go. And he got to keep his... I didn't like how she was self-projecting her situation on me, a thing my parents continued to do. Besides, I was leaving my boyfriend after the fact anyways, and was planning to travel the world with the money I had saved up. When I told her this, she told me that I could not abort, and if I did, I would go to hell. Because God says, thou should not kill. So of course, hearing this, being brought up raised heavily religiously, I was scared shitless. I broke down, crying, telling her I wasn't ready, and she said to me I should have thought about that before I opened my legs and should have kept them closed. That it was a responsibility I had to deal with, and no matter what I was going to have that baby, and it was a lesson to be learned instead of acting like a schlut, not sure how Reddit censoring works. That I needed to do my research now and set things in place, and whether my boyfriend was helping or not, she was going to make sure the baby gets here safely. At this point, I'm sobbing uncontrollably with no words. I'm outside on the phone while my drunken boyfriend is inside the house trying to pack things for a visit to his parents. I never told my boyfriend about the conversation I had with my mom and decided to keep the baby. When we had the conversation again and I told him my answer, he got upset and stressed that I was rushing us and we weren't ready. I was recently let off from my job because of morning sickness I had me throwing up and work every hour. I was told I could not miss any more days, even though I had a doctor note, as they requested me to get, and my only option was to quit because there was not anything else they could do to accommodate me. But I could always reapply after 90 days. Me not knowing any better agreed to these terms, but they never left me return to my said dream job. And I was blacklisted after my boyfriend caught wind and decided to take matters in his hands to confront HR on my behalf while drunk, even though I begged him not to. We worked at the same place. Miraculously, he was able to keep his for a while. My relationships with my parents and boyfriend consisted of heavy mental and verbal abusive and threats from my boyfriend claiming that I was talking to other guys behind his back and that I needed a guy like him to keep me in my place, boasting about how his clients at work beat on their girlfriends to keep them in check and that I should get the same treatment. I just don't think I could have won. I kept the house clean, stayed up till he got off work at whatever time to cook him fresh meals for a movie night. Most meals were made from scratch and took hours because he liked it cooked a certain way and only desired certain meals, otherwise he deemed it not real food. My boyfriend would constantly drink and drive recklessly while in the car with me, and things began to get physical towards the end of my pregnancy for a short period. I had a home birth. Boyfriend went sober for the first few months of my pregnancy. He helped beautifully the first 3 days PP and fell off horrendously. My mother and grandmother brought me MREs to eat, so I didn't have to be up cooking or cleaning much. My boyfriend helped himself to my MREs while being less helpful around the house. I had our baby 24/7, but I didn't mind. I formed a beautiful bond through the traumatic experiences I went through and love her more than my own life because she pushed me to push through when I wanted to end it. I was able to be home with her 24/7, which was a blessing, and was able to raise her into a beautiful person. But then my boyfriend's drinking got worse, and he was hit with cases from his BM that made our situation and relationship plummet, and we lost our house. Our relationship got physical again, and I got fed up and called the only support system I had to try and make a safe exit. I told my mother, begged her not to tell my father. She said she could relate when I tried to tell her what happened, told me about her story, and that we were the same, and that I would push through. She broke my trust and told my dad, and my dad went on Facebook and blasted my business to friends and family over the thousands. The embarrassment I have experienced from both my boyfriend and parents is enough to make me want to go no contact from all parties involved, but since I still depend on them, I have to deal with it until I make it. I tried to talk to my father about how it hurt me that he would put my business online like that, and I am embarrassed and ashamed, and he didn't care. He said my business is his business, and he can post whatever he wants about me because I'm his child. Lost respect. Eventually, I moved back in with them and was subjected to the same lifestyle I had before. Now I just had to start over doing the same thing from square one and trying to get out again, just this time with a child, and it's so much harder in this economy. My parents know the predicament I'm in and have voiced they did not want me to leave, but they will not help me watch my daughter at all, or even help with her at all. I know they are not obligated to, but I feel as if I sacrificed everything and so much for others that all I get is a slap in the face, spit on, and kicked down like a dog. I forgot to mention, my parents had a child 2 months after mine. My mother had a weird phase of saying they were twins that she didn't have to have and that my daughter was hers and wanted my daughter calling her mama, and even took it in her hands to breastfeed my daughter without me consent. I guess leaving things here is a perfect reminder to fully go no contact once I'm financially independent and situated. The emotions I feel goes beyond enraged and has turned into resentment and hatred. I have no other family members to go to. We never facilitated close relationships with any other family members since we were sheltered off. They stated if I wanted to work for someone else, then I needed to figure it out myself or with my child's father who would watch her. Yet they advocated for my baby to be here, but want help? I just feel like they set me up so they could control me as they'd like. My life has been nothing but downhill since, as if they don't want to see me thrive without them. They hate seeing you happy when they're not happy. They hate seeing you win if you're not sharing your wins with them. If they're struggling, they want you to struggle too. Now I'm being ran around like a dog, dragging my poor daughter along with me to get their errands done. Jump when they say jump. Do as they say when they say, no questions asked, no back-talking said. They expect my schedule to be completely free with last-minute tasks and get upset if I have things planned, then think it's punishment to add more things for me to do if I can't do the said errand at the time. Okay, well, you'll do this day, and do these 2 while you're at it. Currently, they're going on vacation next week. One of my other siblings took on the main role of running the business, while I help behind the scene with other tasks with my other siblings I train on what to do. The problem is the sibling that does the main role along with all of my other siblings are going with my father, and without my knowledge they have told me to take charge of the business. There are new systems in place I was not trained on and haven't ran the business myself in over several years. I'm livid at the fact they did not ask if I had anything planned or if I was free. They just came and told me you're doing this, and that's usually how their demand goes. They don't ask, they demand. And if I'm not free, they want me to make free time. If I could and had the resources, I'd love to skip town, states, hell, even the country to get away to try and live a normal life. I know lots of people are struggling out there, but this isn't the way to be lived either. I slave at this business and am on standby for their demands 24/6 literally. From 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 6 days a week for a family business that seems to be their own personal gain that I've been helping them with since I was 13. I am 23 now and embarrassed with how far behind I am that my peers in life. Sad face. I'm not sure if this is the right place, and I will make another post if needed in the proper forum. But does anyone know any forums or resources/advice for people in my shoes? It's just so hard to stay strong and see the end of the tunnel when everyone around you wants to keep you back. I do not regret my daughter, but I regret not waiting. I regret bringing her in this stupid, toxic family situation I'm in, and I don't want her subjected to it, were used like I was. My parents already voiced their ideas of using her to make money off of her and being her manager, and that she'd make them rich. I regret not giving her the quality life she deserves, because she deserves the world, but I don't want to leave her behind in this cruel world. Honestly, I don't even know who I am anymore. Anyways, if you made it this far, I appreciate you taking the time out your day to read this all over the place post, which I'm sorry for I'm a mess, as well as respond and give your personal insight. Anything helps, and getting my story out most definitely helps. Though I cannot go into much detail as I have friends and family on here, but new account for obvious purposes, I was trying to be as discreet as possible.